Hello and welcome to day 8 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 brand new Halloween themed craft projects over 20 days. Today's project is something three-dimensional that glows. That's right, it's time for a lantern craft, and today we're making this lovely Halloween cat with a witch's hat having a little rest on a spellbook, and the bottom of the lantern glows beautifully from some LED lights inside. It's not showing quite as bright on the camera as it is in real life because it's very light in here with all my camera lights around me, but when it's on display for real in your room, this looks so spooky and amazing and lovely. And it's a really good size to use as a table centerpiece. In this video, I'll take you step by step to making one of these base lantern designs, from the structure all the way to the layered design and which lights to use inside for the best glow. And if you like this lantern, check out the Instant Access bundle for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle. If you purchase the bundle, then you get 4 additional lantern designs, all with this base style, but different images on top and different patterns in the side. But for now, let's start making this beautiful Halloween cat base lantern. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just this design at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Halloween. The designs will appear here each day once they become available to buy. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Before we get started with the video, I just want to say, in the most roundabout and not quite getting to the point way ever, that your version of the design will be slightly different to mine, because somebody pointed out to me after seeing this that the pumpkin stalk should probably be facing the other direction. Not going to go into why they thought that, but now that is all I can see. So the file has been changed before you get it so that your pumpkin stalk will face to the left instead of the right. Everything else is the same, so you can follow along. But if you notice why mine looks different, that is why. All right, let's get started. There are several different types of light that you can use inside your lantern to help it glow. The first are these submersible LED lights. I get these on Amazon, and these are quite small. They've got little button batteries in, and when you tighten them up, they glow all different colours, and they come with a remote so you can change the colour to be set on one or have different flashing options. Because the lanterns are big, you'll probably need at least 2 sets, if not 3, inside of your lantern to make it glow really nicely. And when you've got the remote, you can change them both at the same time so that they'll keep the same colours at the same point in time. So rather than this one being green and this one being green afterwards, they'll be the same. Or you can leave it different, it's up to you. When you're not using them, remember to unscrew them and also take the battery out of the remote when you're not using it. Otherwise, it will keep trying to call out between light and remote, and your batteries will drain really, really quickly. Another type of light you can use, this is a different type of submersible LED light, also on Amazon. This is, I think it's designed to go in swimming pools, but this is really, really big. You can see it in the palm of my hands. It takes 3 AA batteries, or AAA. Let's check. 3 AAA batteries, and It also comes with a remote. This wouldn't work for many of my cardstock lanterns because it would be too big. However, these base lanterns are very big, so this will fit in and make it glow just beautifully. They glow really nicely and they're very bright because they've got lots of different lights in them. And once again, you can fade it through different colours or you can set it on one. It's completely up to you. It's much brighter in real life than it looks on my camera because I've still got one of my big camera lights going. If you don't have either of those lights, you can use a string of fairy lights, and the download folder comes with an optional lighting tower that you can wind your fairy lights around to help it glow all the way to the top. Again, this is because these base lanterns are big, that if you just put the fairy lights in the bottom, you might find they don't quite glow up all the sides. And you can use this to do maybe 2 different strands and put them both in for even more glow. If you'd rather make this as a centerpiece but not have it light up, that's absolutely fine too. You can either leave it as it is without any lights in, or instead of cutting the window panels on the inside from vellum, which is what I've done to make it translucent to let the light come through, you could cut it from a solid cardstock instead and have a different colour coming through the gaps instead. Completely up to you. So now we've had a look at the different lighting options, it's time to get the SVG file into Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then press Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder, and within there look in 01 Cricut version. If you're using a Silhouette or a Scan and Cut, head to craftwithsarah.com/help for separate videos on which file to choose for your type of machine. If you're going to be adding a string of fairy lights inside your lantern, I highly recommend using the file in here too. It will mean that you can wrap the lights around the tower so that the lights go all the way up to the top of the lantern, as it is quite a big space to fill. But first, let's go into 01 Cricut version and upload the file that starts SVG-01 in the file name. Press Continue and then Upload, and then it will appear on your project. You can close out this window on the left by clicking the arrow that appears about halfway down the page. There's an instruction box near the top of the file that tells you what size it should be at. It should be 30 inches wide and 29 inches tall. Mine's actually coming at 29.999, but that's not going to make a difference, so I'm going to leave it at that. But if yours is coming any different to that, then change it to 30 by 25. Ungroup the layers by pressing the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel, and then click on the green rectangle layer in the Layers panel and click the Delete key. There are a few score lines to format in this design, so we'll do that next. If you don't have a scoring wheel or a scoring stylus for your Cricut machine, you can delete the score lines. They're not essential. It's really just to make it a little bit easier to see where to fold, but it's still perfectly possible to do that without the score lines. So we've got these window panel designs, and it's actually the same 3 designs, 3 for the front and 3 for the back. Therefore, I'm going to select 3 of them, the 3 on the right hand side, and delete them. And then after I formatted these 3, I'll copy and paste them so that I don't have to do the formatting 6 separate times. Click on one of these and it will highlight it in the Layers panel in green. You'll notice a little chevron icon next to it. Click that to open up the layers. Within there, there's one horizontal line. Click to select just that, and then under Operation, change it to Score. Or if you don't have a scoring wheel or stylus, once you've selected that horizontal line, you could press the trash can icon. If you are changing it to Score, then click to select that whole mini group. You can see I've now got the layer underneath and that score line selected, and press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut we want it to do the scoring on this particular piece of card. And then it's the same for the other 2. Open it up, click the horizontal line, change it to Score, click to select the whole thing, which I hadn't quite done. There we go, it's easier to click it in the Layers panel. Click to select the whole thing and Attach. And then this one, open it up, click the horizontal line, change it to Score, click to select both those layers and Attach. Then I can drag a box that has all 3 of those selected and press the duplicate button at the top of the layers panel, and that's then made the copy with my score lines already in place for the back of my lantern. These 6 blue pieces down here should be cut from vellum, tracing paper, or some other kind of translucent material. That will help to diffuse the light and means it will glow beautifully through all of the gaps in the side panels. If you're not planning on lighting this up and you're just making it as a centerpiece without the light up effect, then you can cut these from any color of cardstock and then they'll go behind the windows. So you can choose whatever color you want for that one. But as I am making mine light up, mine will be done from tracing paper. There's one more score line, which is on this piece here. Again, you can delete it if you want to. It isn't essential, but it makes it a little bit easier to know where to glue these other 2 rectangles. Click on this piece here. Once again, you've got the little chevron. Click it to open up. Click the horizontal line. Change it to score. Click to select both of them and attach. There is one more group which has the chevron, but this is just containing all the bits to make up the cat. There's nothing in here that needs to be formatted. If you're going to be using the optional light tower, upload that now. Go to Upload and Upload Image. Go into the Light Tower optional folder and select the file that starts SVG in the file name. Press Continue and upload. It is there, it's just white on a white background, so it's really hard to see, but you'll see it once it's inserted onto your canvas. This should load in at 5 inches wide and 4.7 inches tall. It's best to cut this from white cardstock so that it helps to reflect the light as you add it all round. For this one, there's no formatting that needs to be done. The little dashes that you can see are going to be cut lines, and we're using that to know where to fold it and where to stick it, so nothing else that needs to be done here. If you're going to be resizing the lantern to make it smaller, it is essential that if you're going to be using the lighting tower, you upload it before you start resizing everything, and it needs to be on your project, like mine is now, before you start resizing. Otherwise, you'll resize your lantern, and if you left that at the original size, it's not going to fit. Alright, so this would now be ready to cut if you wanted to make it at the original size, but if you want to resize it, here's how to do that. First, let's take a look at how big it is anyway. Drag a box around the cat and the piece that it sat on, and have a look at the size. So it's just over 8.5 inches wide and 11.3 and a little bit inches tall. We'll group those layers while we've got them selected, and then I'll move that light tower just out of the way. Go into Shapes and then choose a square. Under the Operations, change it to a guide, and then change it to the size, either the width or the height that you want to cut this out at. For instance, let's say I wanted to make it, let's go for 10 inches tall so that I could cut it on A4 card. So I'd make my height 10 inches and then hide that guide layer by clicking the eye next to it in the layers panel. Move that so it's on its own so I can work with it easier. Press Select All. Make sure that your tower is also selected if you're using it, and group everything together. Turn the guide back on and then click the group. And now we can resize, making sure the padlock icon above the width and the height box is closed before you start. If yours is open, click it to close it. Then you can drag the corner, and as you can see, every single little piece within my lantern is changing in proportion. So I know it's all still going to fit together. And then I would keep resizing it until the height matches the height of that square. And then I'll know that my new lantern at this size will cut at 10 inches. When you're happy with the resizing, you can click on your guide and delete it to get rid of it. I don't recommend going more than about maybe 2 inches smaller than the original design, possibly 3 at a push, because it means that all your little holes, which you'll be slotting the pieces together in, will get super duper tiny if you make it a lot smaller than that, and you might find it difficult to put together. But certainly this size, changing it down to 10 inches tall, would be absolutely fine. However, I am going to cut mine at the original size, so I'm going to undo all of that to put it back to the super big size. There we go. Is that right? out. I think it's changed my original width and height from when I started because I moved things about when I was formatting the score layers. So I think that is still correct. It looks like it. At this point, give it a save so that if you want to cut it again in the future, or if maybe you're not quite ready to cut it out right now, it means that you'll have it saved at the right size and with all of your score lines in there, so you won't have to make any of those changes again when you come back to Design Space. When you're ready to cut it out, press Make over on the top right of the screen and that will separate out all the pieces. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and then you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space. Sometimes it might think you need more sheets than perhaps you actually do. For example, this one, it's got my white on 2 pieces of A4 card, but I think we can fit that cat head on that one. So I'm going to click the 3 dots, move object, choose the other mat. It must be of the same colour if you're going to be doing this, and then press confirm. And then we can move things about. Might need to rotate. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was right. Oh no, there we go. Okay. So I've moved everything about. Nothing's overlapping, so it's all going to cut out well. And it now fits on one sheet. Woohoo! If you end up with any empty sheets like this one, don't worry. They'll be automatically removed when you press continue. You would need to go ahead and do that for all of the different sheets that you want to change. I've just noticed a slight bug, which is I seem to have 3 different colours of brown and there should definitely only be one. So what I'm going to do is I will fix that before you get the file, so you'll be able to see it all with just 1 colour of brown and you won't need to do 3. And then don't forget the blue. Where is it? There it is. This will be cut from your vellum or tracing paper if you want your lantern to glow. I use the vellum setting when I'm cutting this out and generally it works. Sometimes it does still tear a little bit. Vellum is very, very thin and fragile. So if you do need to recut it again, maybe try it on less pressure or a lighter cut setting. Sometimes I find the copy paper setting works a little bit better for the vellum, as that is a super light setting, but it's just completely up to you and it will vary a little bit based on things like the sharpness of your blade, how new it is, how sticky your mat is, the thickness of your vellum, things like that. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue to connect to your Cricut and then follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from Cardstock. Now all the pieces of the lantern are cut out, it's time to start with the preparation work. First up, take this piece, which is the main bit of your structure, and then turn it upside down so that the cat is facing to the left. Then take this piece, which matches the outline, and we're going to glue it to the back for a bit of extra stability. Make sure when you glue it that the holes here and here line up. The one on the bit you're about to stick on is a little bit bigger here, but the one at the top needs to line up perfectly with the one on here. I'm using Barely Art Glue for this project, but I also like Kalal. The reason I like these 2 glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. Okay. So I'll glue this piece onto the back of my lantern. It's helpful to add some weight to the back. It's a way of getting the layered design to stand up that little bit straighter. Line it up as neatly as you can and make sure that hole in the top, this one here, is perfectly lined up. There we are. Okay, next up we're going to build a stand, which again is helpful for the stability, and that is these pieces here. I've got this bit with a hook on one side and a score line on the other, and then 2 rectangles. So we're going to glue up to the score line on one side of this and then up to just before the edge of the rectangle where the hooks appear. And then glue one of the rectangles on top. We're making this piece stronger with the addition of the other 2 bits. I'll line it up along the score line. It's a bit hard to see on this card. There we go. Then turn it over and add the other rectangle to the other side. This time I think it'll be easier to put the glue on the rectangle because I can't see the score line now as we're on the back of this bit of card. Line that up in the same place on the back. There we go. Then I'm going to fold it down the score line. It doesn't matter which way around you do it. And then this is the back of our lantern piece, the bit that we glued that other piece on top of. I'm going to thread it through up to the score line, turn it round, and glue this piece down. You might need to hold it for a while until the glue dries, or you can add something kind of heavy on top of it to help hold it in place. Not sure that's actually quite heavy enough. We'll see. Next up, glue the vellum to the back of all of the window panels. I've already done 5 of mine, but I've got one left to show you. Turn the piece upside down and then add glue all around the edge. Don't go right up to the very edges on the outside because the vellum won't reach, and you don't need to go into the tabs at the top or the bottom either. Take your vellum, the thicker side goes in the bottom. Oops, before I do that, I want to add some glue to some of these inner bits as well, so it gives a better overall stick. Okay. And then stick it down. Don't push down too hard because you don't want the glue to smush out and become visible on any of the vellum. And then repeat that for all of the sides and let dry. Here's what they look like when they're dry. You see that diffusing effect of the vellum. Be careful when you're putting together these sides because you've got the back which is loose, so you'll just have to remember to glue that onto the front of the vellum. Next up, you can either start making the layered design of the cat or you can put the structure together. I'll do the structure. So we're taking this piece. And it is important that the layered design is done after you put all the sides together and make it 3D, because if you were to glue all the pieces on now and then try and slot it together, it'll be really top heavy and difficult to put together. I've tried doing it that way and believe me, it just doesn't work. It's so hard. Much easier to assemble the layered design separately and glue it on once everything else is finished. Take your main structure piece with the cat on, and then select this piece. This is the one that's got 2 little slits in the top and 2 little slits in the bottom. And we're going to thread it through the slits on this piece. Go in, push it through, and gently pull the base into place. And then you'll end up with a 4-sided shape. Hold them flat against each other. And then bring in the final piece, and this will do the same thing, only now we're going over both of those existing bits. So into the top and into the bottom, and now we have a 6-sided piece that's freestanding. We'll add stability with the 2 hexagon pieces, and it's much easier if you start with the bigger bit to go on the bottom. So I'll keep this open. And then how this is going to work is all of these little slits in all the corners of the hexagon are going to go into the slits on the bottom of the sides. It's so hard to show you. There you go. You can just about see it there. And put it through the middle. And then we're going to wiggle all these pieces into place. Be careful with it because they are very small gaps. They're easy to tear, but if you tear it, it's not going to go together anymore. So be very gentle. When it's in, it'll be nice and sturdy. You can shake it about and that hexagon isn't going anywhere. And it looks nice and level when you're looking at it from the side or from above. And then next up, we'll put the smaller hexagon into the gaps in the top. But for this one, this is a little bit different because there's an extra slit on one of the sides. That one is for our stand to thread through. So you need to make sure that the side of the hexagon with the extra slot will end up in the middle of the back. So it can be helpful, kind of like I'm doing now, to hold that in place before you start putting all the bits in. Can you see? There we go. That's some of my extra bits. And then I can start getting those in now that I know that's the right way round. If you accidentally get it in the wrong way round, then carefully take the hexagon out and then do it again with it in the correct place. There we go, that's all of those in. Then we can take, oh no, we've missed one. That one's not in place. It's being stubborn. Okay, I've got it in. So now the top one is in there too. And then thread the hooks on the end of your stand through the hole that's closest to the middle. It's that extra hole on that side. It'll pull the top design backwards a little bit, but that's okay because once we stick all the layers on the front, that'll help to bring it back up straight. So I've got that threaded through there now, held in nice and securely. And next I'm going to add the sides in. I'll leave one off to put the light in at the end, but 5 of them I'll go in. Again, it's easier to do this before the layered design goes on the front. So I'm going to slide my top tab in the top hole, the bottom one in the bottom hole. And then when that's done, we'll fold it along the score line. Put that through there. So that's held in place. And then I'm going to fold it towards myself along the score line on the top and fold it completely flat. So if you look at it from above now, that tab is flat. And that will just help hold it in place over time. Otherwise the edges can warp a little bit over time and they might fall out. Whereas doing that means they stay exactly where they're supposed to. So again, we go in the top, in the bottom, and then bend along that score line until the tab's sitting horizontal. And then I'll repeat that for 5 of the 6 sides. I'll leave the middle one at the back open, ready for the light at the end. This is looking really, really nice. We've got that scene building up on the sides. So now it's time to put together the layered design for the top. Here are all the pieces of the cat, and I've laid them one on top of the other, following the assembly guide that's included in your download folder. As well as the glue, I'll be using foam squares to add a little bit of depth. These ones often dot and dab, but any will do, and these ones are 2mm thick. They're quite small, which is going to make it nice and easy for getting in all the places, but if yours are bigger, you can cut them smaller with scissors. As with all my layer designs, we're going to start at the bottom and then work upwards. So we'll move some of these bits apart, being careful to keep them vaguely in the right order, seeing as we've gone to all the effort already. Okay, at the bottom you've got this white bit and then a slightly different coloured white or very pale grey on top. This will be glued on. This makes up the pages in the book. Stick this on top and the edges will perfectly line up and be the same size. Next up we've got the edges of the book, and this time let's see, what shall we do? I'm going to glue this one as well. With the lanterns, we are foaming a few less pieces than we might in a normal regular layered design that wasn't going on top of a lantern, because the foam makes it quite heavy, and the heavier it is, the more it tries to flop over rather than staying nice and upright, which is what we want. So I'm being a little bit more cautious than I might otherwise be with the amount of foam square layers. Next up we've got the body of the cat, also foam square. I just put a big gluey fingerprint in the middle of that. That wasn't very clever. Hopefully it won't notice too much. Next up we'll do the back leg. Oh look, that's going to cover up my glue mark. Amazing. And this one will be done with foam squares. So turn it upside down. Add some foam. It doesn't matter which order you do the rest of it in, because the pumpkin, the head, the candle, these legs, or the leg, and the shelf along the bottom will kind of build separately, so you can do them in whatever order you like. Do the pumpkin next, glue for the stalk, and then foam for the orange, and then glue for the orange on top. Foam squares for the candle. Then glue the rest of the candle bits, yellow next. Then black. And then the other white bit. Then the bit of wood along the bottom. Foam squares for this one. I think it'll be easier to add them directly onto the design. And now we've got the paws, starting with the white underneath to be done with foam squares. Glue on the piece on top. And foam squares for the next bit, this yellow. Then we've got the eyes, or at least the cutouts for the eyes. This is actually going to make up the nose and the mouth. There we are. Then the face looks so grumpy. Then the hat. And for the brim of his hat, we'll do this with foam squares. Then glue on the ribbon for the hat. Oh, that is upside down. I've just put glue on the wrong side of that. The moon should be facing the other way. I'll just lift it up a bit so you can't tell. I'm not going to recut it again when it just works the other way around as well. I just got my moon facing the wrong way. There we go. And that's the cat all finished. So now he can be glued onto the front of the lantern. Turn it upside down. And quite a bit of glue. This is heavy, lots of bits of card. Then glue it up so it lines up with the top, and it's easier to do this with the lantern standing straight. So I'm not going to try and tilt it into the camera shot and just make it more difficult for myself. Ooh, I've got a hair caught in it. And look at that lovely lantern all done with that cat on. If we zoom out, you can get more of a view Oh, it's so cute. It stands up really nicely, and now it's all ready for the light to go inside. If you're making the optional lighting tower, we'll cover that next. If you're using strings of fairy lights like this one, then you've probably cut out the lighting tube to go with it. To start with, roughly roll it round into an oval shape. We're just sort of training the card that that's the shape we're going to want it to go in. You see it's keeping some of that bend. And then either take double-sided tape or glue. And then on one of the sides you've got a few little dashed lines going sort of halfway up. I'm not sure you can see on camera. Put glue down up to where those dashed lines are. And then all the way to the edge. Roll it round again. And stick the other side up against those dashed lines. You don't need to be super accurate. Just roughly get it there. And then hold it until the glue dries. Oh, just dropped it. Or you can put some paper clips over it to help hold it in place while the glue is drying. If you're using the submersible lights, then you don't need to build the lighting tower. You can just put these straight in. The same if you're using the smaller submersible lights. This is only for if you're using the strings. Once the glue's dry, then take off any paper clips you've got and you can start putting the lights on. I'm going to get these, oh dear, untangling. It might take longer than putting the whole thing together. I want this to be nice and untangled. There we go. And then look for where the lights start. And then we'll use sticky tape to tape this to the tube. Make sure your lights are not the type that get hot. So that's there. And then start winding it round. Don't pull it really tightly. Remember, these lights will be up against the cardboard, so we don't want it to be too tight. Just a nice loose roll. Give it a bit more tape every now and then, putting the tape over the wire but not over the lights, and then keep going until you've done the whole thing. If you find that you haven't reached the top, you can get another set of lights to finish it off. And as if by magic, here's one that I have nearly finished. I just got to get that final one in place. There we go. And then they're all wrapped round, and when I turn them on, it will help distribute the light all the way up the lantern. Then fold up the tabs along the bottom. These are feet to hold it in place. Once it's in the lantern, you'll slide it in. It doesn't need to be stuck or anything like that. It's the perfect size to go against the top and the bottom. Just carefully move it around. I might have to tuck it in to get it under the stand. There we go. Now stand upright. Like that. And then you can tuck the battery in, or you can leave it out, but if you leave it out, you'll probably have to cut one of the corners of the last side panel so that it's got a hole for it to come out with. If you're using the other type of lights, you would just put them in and then put your other side on. If you're using the smaller ones, you'll probably want 2 or 3 sets to really make it glow. And then that's it. Our lovely Halloween cat with spellbooks lantern is all finished. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this adorable kitty cat base lantern for Halloween. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Halloween crafts and Cricut fun. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 9 of the Halloween craft countdown. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!